quick announcements before we crawl into the biochemistry of personality. One, it is raining out, so I'm going to do my best to cut out the audio, the pitter-pattering, as well as they're doing construction on my roof. So, and I wish, but whatever. So there are going to be different sounds. And lastly, this chair, I have ordered a replacement that should get here in probably about a module's worth of time, maybe 2 modules worth of time, definitely by the last third of the class. This will be a different chair, so we'll have a different problem. But yeah, okay, so that's my weird accounting announcements that eventually I'll cut out of this video when I post it. But for now, yep, alright, anyway, yeah, biochemistry of personality. And there we go. So, this idea that biology and whatnot are related to how we behave and think and feel has been around for a long time. So Galen of Pergamon, which is, he's a I don't even know how to describe him without saying he's Galen. He's the classic early thinker on health and medicine. And he proposed this idea that personality depends on the balance of humors. And there are 4 of these humors: blood, black bile, yellow bile, and phlegm. And too much of any one of these liquids in your body will kind of be bad for will lead to less than ideal personality. And so the optimal personality is a mix of these the balanced humors. Alright, so boom. So this balance of humors, I'm gonna let you guys check these out. There's a great video by Dr. Cat, who's a historian who posts on YouTube a lot about 17th century England, but she's got a wide range, and she talks about the humors. And yeah, I'm gonna let her do that and kind of move forward in time from the 2nd century to now. So the chemistry of the mind. So neurons, which I kind of gave you my beautiful piece of art that I drew and then overlaid it, drive a lot of not drive it directly, but they communicate, they facilitate a lot. So these neurons, the pathways through your brain and body and whatnot, communicate with neurotransmitters. And these neurotransmitters are chemicals that travel across the synapse between neurons. So the synapses, I've got a diagram on the next page. It's the space in between, and they can trigger a chemical reaction that either has an excitatory, so it encourages firing, or inhibitory, stops firing. I have reversed my hand motion, but that doesn't actually convey well in video. So on the next slide, I've got an illustration of how these neurotransmitters work. There are about 60 of them in the brain and body, and people differ in their average levels. But before I go on, I'm supposed to show you the neurons, and then it magically will come back. So here is a way better illustration, and we're zooming in on the synapse, so these little gaps in between the neurons. and they communicate across this channel with different neurochemicals. And we'll talk about those. Cool. And look, we're back. I have stage notes to instruct me what to do, but apparently I thought I knew better than my notes. So yeah. So the neuron communicates with neurotransmitters, and in addition to neurons, and we'll talk about all that, we also got hormones. Those are happening, and those stimulate or inhibit like overall neural activity, and these are biological substances that affect the body in locations different from where they were produced. So they're kind of like long range distance, while like neurotransmitters, it's a cleaner, tighter chain for the most part. Now, people differ in their average levels of these neurotransmitters, as well as the enzymes that break them down. And these differences are associated with personality traits. So, first neurotransmitter we're going to talk about is dopamine. It's involved in responding to reward and approaching attractive objects, as well as people. It's related to sociability, general activity levels, and novelty seeking. Now, when you have low levels of dopamine, like severe chronic levels, that's essentially the big piece of Parkinson's disease. And they treat that by, or at least attempt to treat it, they alleviate the symptoms by giving patients L-Dopa, which is like a precursor to dopamine. And so like the body processes it, and so it adds a little extra dopamine to the system. It's not a foolproof thing, obviously, but these neurotransmitters do more than just like have some relationship with extroversion. They're related to actual diseases too. Alright, so and I already spoiled this with so there's possible relations with bipolar disorder and extroversion, as well as impulsivity. Dopamine activates the behavior activation system, which is a reward. Oh, there's no extra word there. Reward is reward seeking. A strong behavioral activation system is associated with being energetic and impulsive. So that impulsivity both kind of taps into, well, enthusiasm, as well as slightly lower levels of conscientiousness. So dopamine activates the system, and individual differences in development, like occur in the development of nerve cells that produce and respond to dopamine. So having more cells, having more cells is related to the motivation to seek rewards and to enjoy them, and also linked with extroversion, especially like being assertive, dominant, outgoing, and on a personal note, it probably relates to gregariousness as well. The motor mouth. I don't know anybody who's like that. No one at all. So, it's also related to this fundamental dimension of plasticity. Now, plasticity is a higher order trait. I encourage you to think about framing plasticity as a combination of extroversion and openness to experience. And this tends to be linked with increases in motivation to seek rewards, as well as impulsivity. And so, like dopamine, plasticity. Now, serotonin plays a role in the inhibition of behavioral impulses. It's adds benefits to avoiding excessive worrying, being too quick to anger, being oversensitive. Now this number's a little out of date, the stat I have here. As of a 1999 survey, 2 million Americans, which at the time was about 10% of the population, had taken the drug Prozac, at least at one time. It's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, so while it doesn't directly add serotonin to your system, what it does is it stops the serotonin from being like reabsorbed really quickly, so it kind of soaks in your synapses. So the effect ends up being that your body holds on, or you get to use the serotonin you already have, and it hangs around longer. And so essentially, by holding around that, letting that serotonin soak in, it effectively increases serotonin levels. Not by like creating more of it, but by letting what you have like hang out. So the reason why I keep talking about Prozac is there's been some personality research on it. So while the like medical effects and treatment of depression and anxiety and all those things are uncontroversial, well, they shouldn't be controversial. They're indisputable. It's a really well-established medication. The psychological effects are a little more controversial. So there's a lot of like bonus positive impact, like on your personality, or maybe bonus isn't the right word, but it seems to be associated with changes in personality for people who aren't diagnosed with a disorder. So like if you're not using it to treat depression or anxiety or something in that flavor, it seems to still have an effect. So it seems to stop needless worrying, decrease sensitivity to stresses, increases in cheerfulness, increases in work productivity. So similar to, it's not like the medication works differently whether or not you have a DSM diagnosis, but that seems to be partially because it seems to influence your personality. It tends to make folks more extroverted and less neurotic. And it tends to make negative emotions less severe. It doesn't seem to affect positive emotions. Like, it doesn't, like, dampen them. But it's still got an effect. So Prozac and serotonin are related to the other big dimension of personality that Colin D. Young kind of talks about as like upper level, like, traits. So, like, one level above. And this is a combination of, like, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and emotional stability. And emotional stability is low levels of neuroticism. So higher levels of stability are associated with higher levels of emotional stability in the Big Five. Cool. So next time, I actually have to press this. So next time we're going to talk about hormones. Now hormones are the other big like brain chemistry stuff. They're not, and I'll get there. Like I should just go. We're like on the last little chunk of the brain unit, and it's all about hormones. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.